this is actually a continuation of our hearing last time, which was simply suspended. And then our decision was to just focus on this very pressing matter, the need to amend, overhaul, or revise the Philippine Immigration Act, an 80-year-old law. Yeah. Ha? Ilan? 84. Mali pala ako. Hindi 80 years old, 84 years old. And then the clamor to have this really updated does not only come from me, but from my colleagues also. As a matter of fact, there are six bills pending before our Committee on Justice and Human Rights. So let's just continue. Last time kasi because of time constraints, I even cut I even asked the speaker to cut short her statement. But this time we will have all the time. Dito lang tayo tututok. But siguro after this, because this is actually a code. It's like a code. So we will conduct TWG siguro. Kaya let's take advantage of the break. TWG tayo, ayusin natin. Then let's take advantage of the early part of November na hindi pa kami magbabudget pa. Ito na muna ang itackle natin. Kung hindi talaga matapos after the budget deliberations, balik natin dito ulit so that we will have a reasonable chance of passing this. Kasi I think it's the call of the times na ayusin na po natin ito. So sige, let's have a freewheeling discussion. But yung mga gusto na mag-deliver no statement last time na I said na please submit, just deliver them now. We have the time. So once again, thank you. And our ComSec Andre is now with us. So Andre, can we recognize our resource persons?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to you, Your Honor, and good afternoon to our guests. From the Bureau of Immigration, we have Officer in Charge Commissioner Attorney Joel Anthony Viado. Kindly acknowledge, please.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson and distinguished guests. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. With him is Verification and Compliance Division Chief Attorney Zanaya Siton.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Accounting Section Chief Mr. Chester Kevin C. Attorney 3, Attorney Lisa Julie Madera.
Yes, sir.
And Deputy Commissioner Attorney Aldwin Alegre. Also with them is the technical support staff, PLAS Head Homer Arellano, Chief of Staff of the Office of the OIC Commissioner Maria Ana Desilin Penaroyo, Attorney 3 Roland Oliquino, Immigration Officer 1 Attorney Anisha Haji Hassan, Office of the OIC Commissioner Attorney Leonid Lee Serrano. From the Department of Justice, Your Honor, we have State Counsel Attorney Normina R. Hajula Tadifa.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Director Leilani Feliciano, Office of the Consular Affairs.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and esteemed colleagues.
With her is from the Office of Treaties and Legal Affairs, Acting Director Nadine Rosario M. Morales.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and colleagues.
From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Acting Chief Budget and Management Specialist Ms. Nihal Abdul Rauf Pacalnya. Good afternoon. And with her is Ms. Merica Joanna S. de la Peña. Yes, sir. From the Department of Finance, we have Treasury from the Bureau of Treasury Operations Officer Ms. Marcia Sumagaysay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and to everyone.
From the Office of the Solicitor General, we have State Solicitor Attorney Joseph Roman de la Cuesta.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone.
That is all, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon.
Thank you at salamat po sa inyong lahat, no? So okay, so as I've stated earlier, there are 6 bills. Okay, code ito. This is the parang immigration code ito. So I'll listen to your inputs. Sino ba yung last time sa last session that there were two resource persons? Si DFA was about to finish her statement na rin eh. Tapos they were two who raised their hands eh. Are they here? Do they want to read? Si Attorney Tadifa ba? One of them? Sige. Ma'am, go ahead. And DBM, last time? Okay, you ready? Sige, Attorney Tadifa.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. This department supports the modernization of the BI, upgrading of compensation and benefits for its personnel, and the grant of expanded authority to ensure that the BI can accomplish its mandate and as gatekeepers of this country. However, we note that all the bills reverted to earlier sections on the powers and functions of the Board of Special Inquiry on recommending for final resolution cases and application relative to the issuance of visas for stateless persons. Under PD number 830, item number 5 of the letter of implementation number 47 in AO number 142, series of 1994, the DOJ is responsible for ensuring compliance with our commitments under the 1951 United Conventions relating to the status of stateless persons. There is a unit in the department known as the Refugee and Stateless Persons Protection Unit, RSPPU, composed of state councils who handle the determination processes for refugees and stateless persons. Second, the definition of non-refoulement, which we respectfully suggest aligns with Article 33 of the 1951 Refugee Convention to include the threats an asylum seeker or refugee is protected against on account of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group or political opinion. And we also have, we listed 7 issues on the retention of power to appoint and promote with the Secretary of Justice. We promote that the power to appoint and promote employees remain with the Secretary of Justice. Suggested provision to read exercise control and supervision over the officers and personnel of the Bureau, including the power to designate and reassign and recommend to the Secretary of Justice appointments and promotions subject to the civil service rules and regulations. The fourth one is the removal of Internal Affairs Service. We recommend the removal of the IAS and suggest that investigation and prosecution of complaints against Bureau personnel remain with the department, with the commissioner having the authority to initiate disciplinary proceedings for violations of the RROCs and other related laws, rules, and regulations. We further recommend that the commissioner be authorized to impose disciplinary action against erring with personnel, while the authority to impose dismissal from service to remain with the Secretary of Justice. The fifth one is the removal of the board secretary. With the advent of technology and the goal of not anymore implementing visas and digitization, this renders this office obsolete. Designation to this office, if retained, should not be permanent and should enjoy the trust and confidence of the sitting commissioner. Number 4 here. Retention of powers of the commissioner. We recommend that the commissioner retains his powers as opposed board action on policies and supervision of offices to enable him or her to better manage the Bureau. And the fifth one is the removal of immigration operations, port operations divisions. We recommend the empowerment of terminal heads reporting directly to the commissioner for the responsibility and accountability of immigration operations in international airports, to tighten the loose command of terminals, to decentralize the top-heavy organizational structure, and to benchmark other immigration agencies of ASEAN countries wherein airport terminal operations remain independent from each other. The assignment of Chief of Immigration Operations is a position critical to national security and should not be entrusted permanently to a single individual. A permanent holder who will constantly fight allegations of corruption and wrongdoing cannot be expected to meet the moment. Constant rotation of personnel and heads is key in maintaining the integrity of deployment. And the sixth, inclusion of provision on e-gates, ease of doing business, automation, and digitization. We propose the inclusion of a provision to highlight the Bureau's direction to automate and digitize. And the 7 is the visa implementation to be centralized with the BI. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, State Council Tadipa. From the DBM, yes, ma'am, Ms. Pacalna.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon. Good afternoon, ComSec, and to all the resource persons. The DBM supports the intention of the bills to modernize the Bureau of Immigration. As to the fund as to the provisions on funding and organizational structure and staffing proposed. We hope to discuss in detail our comments in the TWG that you mentioned will be held. We will also be submitting our official position paper on the matter, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
So, anybody else? Soljen, meron tayong ano? Meron tayong...
Mr. Chair, just want to request for time to submit our consolidated position paper for before it's still being reviewed po.
Thank you for helping us. Anybody else? Sige nga, usapan nga tayong tunay na buhay dito kasi kailan maano natin eh. So right now, Attorney Biado is the OIC Commissioner, but you're concurrently also one of the 2 deputy commissioners, tama?
One of the 3 deputy commissioners.
One of the 3? 3 pala yan?
Yes.
Sige, so
Mr. Chairman.
so tatlo kayo ngayon, bale. So sino yung dalawang deputy commissioners?
One is Deputy Commissioner Aldwin Alegre, who is present at the moment. I was also able to talk to Deputy Commissioner Daniel Wailaugan. He sends his apologies, Honorable Chairman, because he had a prior commitment to go to Subic. But he affirms his support for the Immigration Act, Mr. Chairman.
You deal with or you regulate, di ba? Parang gano'n?
From the airlines,
Yes.
shipping companies, Mr.
Para
Chairman.
sa statement mo last time, parang ibabalik mo yun. You're agreeable to bringing that back, di ba?
Yes po,
Why?
Mr. Chairman.
Is that good policy na government, ano ba yung, di ba ang powers ninyo parang acts of sovereignty yan eh. Tama ba, Peñero? Acts of sovereignty, immigration eh. Oh, and yet, we are telling the airlines, we need you to help us financially for our overtime pay. I mean,
Mr. Chairman,
is that good policy?
That is provided for under the old, the present law, Mr. Chairman. We tend to retain that, not only for the modernization of the Bureau and the services that we offer, but also for the professionalization of our employees, and also to upgrade the facilities so as not to depend so much on the National Treasury, Mr. Chairman.
Yan ang pag-isipan natin siguro in your review, Attorney De La Cuesta. Pag-isipan natin yun kasi sabi nga ni Attorney Tadipa, mandate is to be the gatekeeper. Hindi ba gatekeeping, first line of defense, act of sovereignty yan eh. Ngayon, tapos sasabihin natin, tulungan nyo kami sa overtime pay namin. I mean, kung siguro nga ayusin natin ito, kung magbubuhos lang din tayo ng pera, buhusan natin ng pera tong ating Immigration Bureau. Oo. Pero ang worry ko, sir, Attorney Biado, siyempre may mga kwento-kwento tayo mga nare-receive. Masyado bang wide ang discretion ng mga officials nyo dyan? Because may mga kwento kasi ako naririnig na, the money-making opportunities in the Bureau. That's made possible kung masyadong wide discretion ang binibigay natin sa mga bureaucrats natin. So, ano ba nangyari because it's a very old law, you're adjusting through your issuances, ganun ba nangyayari? Your discretion is now too wide?
Reason why we need to modernize so that we can have more people supervising those at the lower ranks, Your Honor. And one thing that will also solve the problem, or at least partially solve it, is for us to digitalize, automate, and use the powers, of course, of, let's say, artificial intelligence to address the problems currently hounding us. As stated in the previous meeting, Your Honor, we have to contend with about 300,000 square kilometers of land area and about 2.2 million of the exclusive economic zone, of which 266,000 of which are municipal and coastal waters. And we have, at the present, 1,818 only, Your Honor, immigration officers manning those borders. So you are right in saying that wide latitude or discretion is given to our immigration officers, but it is provided for under the law. We tend to address those issues by having more people supervising or being given the items which will supervise or enable them to supervise those immigration officers nationwide, Your Honor. I also mentioned that we have to contend with, at the present, 12 airports and 1 seaport. That is also up to us to control, Your Honor. And we need the help that we can get. And it is the modernization of this act is one answer to that problem, Mr. Chairman.
Yung mga, for example, ako, ewan ko kung ilan ang nakapanood sa inyo yung sa isang footage sa news report na nagbanggaan sila. Dashcam ito, nabangga naman nung vehicle from behind yung vehicle in front, nabangga niya. Pagkatapos, bumaba siya yata to approach the vehicle na nabangga niya. Pinaputukan sila ng baril. And then, mga foreigners, yun yata ang sabi, mga foreigners. So, yung mga ganyan, mga undesirable aliens, is that under your jurisdiction? Mag-mic tayo, Attorney Joel. Let's use the microphone para recorded po.
That is within our jurisdiction, Your Honor. As long as a complaint is filed and we have the proper case build-up, then they can be subject to deportation based on undesirability, Your Honor.
So, guardians kayo sa ports of entry or points of entry and exit, pero even within Philippine territory, ganun din yung mga behavior ng mga aliens o foreigners dito.
That's correct po, Your Honor.
Pwedeng ilapit sa inyo or mga misbehavior, di ba? Mga ganyan.
Opo, Your Honor.
Okay. And then, ang isa na naman nagkakikwento lang sa akin recently, alam nyo daw yung sino yung mga may violation ng mga immigration laws, pero anong nangyayari, ginagatasan na lang. So, meron ba tayong mga naririnig na ganyang report?
Meron pa mga nakakarating na report sa amin, Your Honor, but we address that at
Ano resolution natin dyan?
at the soonest possible time. Nag-case build up po kami, Your Honor, so that pwede hong kasuhan sila sa tinatawag na Board of Discipline, yung erring employees po ng Bureau of Immigration. Ngayon po, pagka ang alien naman po ay meron hong katiwalian na ginawa, that is the subject of a case build up para po makapag-build up po kami ng kaso against that person and then eventually subject that person to the due process requirements and for eventual deportation if that's
Mahaba ang
warranted.
deportation? Mahaba?
Ano po?
Procedure?
Dadaan po yan sa case build-up. Tapos po, meron pong tinatawag na issuance po ng charge sheet. Kung kailangan pong arestuhin, meron pong tinatawag na mission order. After that, meron hong proceedings before the legal division. The legal division acts as our prosecutor po, Your Honor. After that, if they see that there is a case that can be properly warranted against the person, it goes to what do they call the Board of Special Inquiry, yung pong korte ng Bureau of Immigration. After that, they would recommend approval of certain actions against that erring individual and would go on or would proceed to the Board of Commissioners for approval po namin, Your Honor.
Ba, yung sa Board of Commissioners, may proceedings pa rin doon na parang you're just repeating the proceedings of the Board of Special Inquiry? Or very summary na yung inyong proceedings niya sa Board of Commissioners? The
proceedings before the Board of Commissioner are still in effect subject to review because the power of the Board of Special Inquiry is only recommendatory. So we approve it.
Yeah, do you repeat what they do?
It depends po on the circumstances, on the factual circumstances.
Okay, so more or less, ano yung ating ano yung time period natin sa deportation? From the first step up to yung final collegial body decision to have him deported?
Ang due process requirement po, so from the legal division, they're given about 15 days to submit the memorandum. And then after that, the Board of Special Inquiry, given about the same number of days. Tapos po, isi-set po for agenda after the Board of Special Inquiry, include po sa agenda ng Board of Commissioners. So probably 60 days.
60 days
to 90.
Okay, so
I think that's
60 to 90 days. Okay. So kung i-benchmark natin sa other other countries, when they want a person deported, mas maikli ang procedure nila o mas mahaba?
Depende po sa circumstances, Your Honor. Meron po tinatawag na regular deportation proceedings, so mahaba po yun. Pero meron rin pong summary deportation kung undocumented po yung alien, fugitive from justice. Yun po, mas maikli po yung proceedings pagka ganun po.
Ginagamit nyo ba yan?
Ginagamit po.
Kunyari, yung mga undocumented aliens, ilan na na-deport natin?
I don't have the figure at the moment, Your Honor.
Medyo bigyan nyo na lang kami ng kasi modernize na rin naman natin yung so we're looking at the procedures na rin. So, yan? Ano yung mga ground? So, undocumented alien. Ano pa isang ground?
Fugitive po.
Fugitive. But when you say fugitive, wanted siya ng ibang jurisdiction. Tama?
Yes po.
Because kung wanted siya dito, we should not deport him, di ba? O ano pa yung mga undesirable alien, may mga ganyan ba? Is that a category?
Sa regular deportation proceedings po, Your Honor.
Hindi sa summary.
Hindi po. Sa summary po, overstaying, fugitive, yan po.
Sige, we will retain that, siguro. We will retain that kind of a distinction. Kasi, for example, dito kahapon, may usapan na kami dito na I think we need to go through a cleansing. Parang ang ginamit na lang namin na word, cleansing, a cleansing process na masyado yata maraming undesirable aliens na sa lipunan natin na kailangan pauwiin na muna natin sila. Parang reset ba? Nagre-reset tayo. Uwi na muna kayo. Ayusin muna namin yung system namin dito pagpasok.
Yes.
Once upon a time, hiniring ko rin na Attorney Joel yung resolution ni Senator Binay on the visa upon arrival. Karoon kayo ng ganun, di ba? Ano ba yun? Did that have any legal basis or na-invento lang ninyo yung program na yun?
Meron pong legal basis, but I believe the visa upon arrival was implemented during the time of the previous commissioners po. But suspendido na po yan.
Yes. Inabando. But kaya nga, I want to know nga, kaya nga iniintindi natin yung law ninyo What empowered you to come up with such a program?
It was a program po ng Department of Tourism, Your Honor, ang visa upon arrival po. And it was approved by the Department of Justice. And the power that was being invoked was the power to issue visas under Commonwealth Act 613, Your Honor. Yun po yung naging basis po nun. But it was a measure which was intended to promote tourism. Kaya po ang main proponent po noon was the Department of Tourism.
Yes, but the final authority which issued the visa na on the spot, nandito na siya nasa Philippine territory na siya, was
immigration po, Your Honor.
Sino? How high in the immigration hierarchy?
The commissioner po approved it.
Delegated power din siguro. Siguro doon sa ports of entry, nandun siguro yung niya. Dinelegate niya. Pero siya inauthorize na tao.
The commissioner po ang nag-approve po lahat nun. So
yes.
Ang approval po, pupunta po sa central office po namin.
Hindi, yung person about to enter, naghihintay siya. Maghihintay siya sa airport ng action ni commissioner sa main office? Or dinelegate ninyo yun sa isang officer ninyo sa airport?
Meron pong pre-filing, Your Honor, tapos po pumupunta po sa office of the commissioner. Yeah. There is a pre-filing process, Your Honor, which was resorted to. You would pre-file all the necessary documents even before the arrival of the person, and then ano po yan? Approval po ng office of the commissioner, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Pero di ba DFA, ma'am, yung paper ninyo last time was about visa issuance, di ba? So, ang gusto niyo ba sabihin sa amin, since tourist din naman yun, that should have been a consular function of the DFA, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, because with our visa issuing function abroad, we can do the necessary vetting.
Correct.
And interviews and derogatory records check in order to keep out undesirable or excludable aliens. So at that Yun nga yung sinasabi naming defense gatekeeping mechanism.
Yes.
At the first instance, doon pa lang abroad, hindi na sila makakapasok. So,
Kasi nga, nung narinig ko yung pre-filing, it's the same. I mean, kung hindi naman pala siya visa upon arrival na wala kang Philippine visa, punta ka rito, makikipagsapalaran ka, and it's approved on the spot. That's the visa upon arrival. Pero kung nag-pre-filing, di, pasok na rin sa general procedure, right? The DFA. So, I know you suspended that kasi hiniring ko nga rin yun eh. Pero it became a big enough issue na umabot pa rito, nag-hearing pa kami about that, no? So, yan ang mga babantayan siguro natin yung mga powers po ng immigration. But I think we have to compare it with the evolution naman ng immigration laws ng ibang bansa. So, meron ba tayong Attorney Biado, meron ba tayong mga parang meron ba kayong parang table or studies na ano naman ang mga immigration trends sa ibang bansa? Mike, Joel, para
Sorry, Your Honor.
para ma-record.
Meron po kami sa office, Your Honor. We can provide po this esteemed committee and committee members, and of course, the Honorable Chairperson with a copy of the same, Your Honor.
Sige, give me. Ano yung anong mga ideas which are striking? Ano yung naalala mo when you attend immigration conferences or when you visit other jurisdictions, anong mga nakikita niyo?
One notable development, Your Honor, is the use of artificial intelligence.
So what?
For
Software
monitoring
yan eh.
purposes po ng mga taong papasok po sa bansa ng isang...
So incorporated siya sa computer system ninyo, yung nasa
May system.
in front of the immigration officer.
Sa ano po? Sa ibang bansa po yun, Your Honor.
Oh, ngayon that's the
the
plan.
idea.
That's the plan kung sakaling
That's the
ano
idea
nyo.
Considering that nabanggit ko na po that we lack the necessary personnel, lalo na po sa far-flung areas.
Databases lang yan, di ba? It's just accessing in an intelligent manner databases. Tama, ganun lang.
That's correct po, Your Honor.
Intelligence, eh.
Ang pwede po nating i-access would be yung una sa Interpol po, and then yun pong database ng International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. I asked one person before, is it possible to access the data pertaining to all 195 countries vis-a-vis the passports? Posible daw po to do that. At present, we don't have that, Your Honor. Ang isa pong pwede nating adhikain ay sa isang tao, pwede po nating ma-trace ho agad kung hindi lang ho, at the moment ho kasi merong, let's say, ang isang tao pwedeng 5 passport. Pero darating ho ang panahon, sa facial recognition ho at biometrics, matitrace ho yan kahit ano pang pasaporte yan, ito yung tao na to na nagmamay-ari ng pasaporte na yun. That's one adhikain or dream po natin na we don't have to resort to all the manual checkings, but by the use of artificial intelligence, we can actually know kung if this person is worthy of entering our country or not. Kung may mga record po siya.
Matter of ano na lang yan. I think matter of budget yan. Kasi
Apo.
I do not believe your 84-year-old law will prevent you from using that system. Okay. Matter of budget yan. Propose nyo na lang yan muna. In the meantime na inaayos natin.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Ang binabantayan natin dito yung we want to modernize you just as we modernize the NBI. Yung mga qualifications ng ating sa NBI kasi 'di ba yung mga agents na NBI are supposed to be their premier agents because of the minimum qualifications nila. Masyado ng mga CPA nga, mga lawyers, ganun. Meron ba tayong ganung idea sa immigration?
Meron po, Your Honor. Yung pong aming personnel po ngayon, kasama po sa Proposed Immigration Act po, yung consolidation po ng certain positions into the vital ones. At gusto po namin i-standardize not only yung mga sweldo po nila, but also the security of their tenure within the Bureau. Meron po kaming outline po na pwede po namin i-submit dito po sa Honorable Committee.
Meron yatang bills na mentioning an immigration academy of the Philippines. Ano yun? Makatulong? Pero I'm sure meron kayong mga ongoing trainings din naman ngayon eh, di ba?
Opo. Meron ho kami ongoing trainings through meron po kaming learning and development section. And we also have border control officer trainings na constantly po. Binibigay po namin sa aming mga bagong immigration officers so that they can be...
Siguro,
Baka
yun, ilagay natin sa academy.
Yes po. Meron pong proposal, Your Honor, under the bills na mag-create po ng Immigration Academy. Para ho sa ma-professionalize po yung mga tao namin lalo at matrain po sila to handle the different situations that they encounter on a daily basis in our airports and seaports. Ano ho yan? As a matter of fact, Your Honor, hindi po siguro natin napapansin pero binibigyan lang po ang isang immigration officer ng 45 seconds para inspeksyonin ang pasaporte ng isang tao para po kung ma-determine kung makakapasok siya o hindi. Ako po personally, I was able to time yung pong panahon para ho ilang segundo po ang ginugugal ng isang immigration officer para malaman kung worthy pumasok o hindi. Minsan less than 45 seconds because they are trained and equipped to do that, to look at the passports, to look at all the security features, to look for signs in determining kung dapat ba makapasok ang isang taong ito o hindi. Pero po, with the AI po, that would be considerably shortened. As a matter of fact, when I went to Bohol, Panglao recently, Your Honor, meron po mga gates doon, yung mga Koreano po na pumapasok, ng mga turista, papunta po sa mga beaches natin. Napansin ko, 25 seconds. So kung marunong talaga yung tao, ano lang yun, mabilis lang po. Even in our airports, 20 to 25 seconds. Now, pag hindi ho masyadong alam nung tao, hindi ho siya techie, meron ho biglang immigration officer na mag-a-assist sa kanya. It would take about 30, 40 seconds. Ganun po kabilis ang pag-process po ng mga papel. Pero imagine niyo po yung pressure din ho na nararamdaman ng IO po namin. 45 seconds dapat malaman namin agad. So we need to provide the proper training to our people para ho ma-maintain yun or if possible to shorten it for the convenience of the riding public. Para ho hindi na umaba po yung pila.
Kasi mahaba ang pila, hundreds ang waiting in line, pagod lahat.
Opo, Your Honor.
Yung mga galing. Pagod na lahat yun.
And if I may, Your Honor, kung mapapansin po nyo sa ibang bansa, like Thailand po, yung airport po nila, spread out po yung mga immigration counters, Your Honor. Ang sa atin po, parang funnel eh. Paliit na ganun. So nagkakaroon ng lag po doon sa counters because physically, it's impossible for us. Kukunti po yung mga tao namin. So we really need your help regarding this. Thank you po, Your Honor.
Opo, pero may pasok ang design ng ano doon eh. Design ng airport yun. Wala na kayong hand doon. Right? Yun na lang, yung gates, manpower, ganun siguro, IT, assistance, ganun. Pero yung design ng airport, wala tayong hand doon.
It is a factor, Your Honor, admittedly. Pero po, nakakita po ako before ng parang ATM counter sa Canada. Lalagay nyo lang po yung pasaporte. Tapos so parang baligtaran lang yun. So maliit lang pong machine. So doon ho na-determine kung pwede hong pumasok yung tao sa bansa po nila or itatabi na lang ng immigration officer for what we call the secondary inspection. So pagpasok po ng pasaporte, you input the necessary information. Probably in less than a minute, lalabas po yun. Merong isang resibo. Paglabas po ng resibo doon, ibibigay niyo po yun sa immigration officer na nag-aabang na doon po sa may labasan. Titingnan niya po kung okay na pumasok o hindi. So, mabilis po yung proseso nila. Pero that addresses the issue po of what you stated, Your Honor, regarding space. Right. So, kung may mga makina pong ganun, kahit na ho, funnel yung pupuntahan ng mga check-in po ng immigration, with those machines, we can maximize the space.
So,
yes,
kasi we have to make siyempre the overall experience of the tourist. Meron na nga tayo rito gusto na nilang tourist VAT refund eh. Sabi ko, but the overall experience dapat i-enhance natin. So, this is it sa entry. Sige, yung sa exit naman, yun yung, kayo rin yung binibira no when our OFWs miss their flights or our tourists miss their flights because of too many questions and requirements.
Unfortunately, Your Honor.
Kayo rin yun, di ba?
Yan po.
Why were these things happening? Bakit ganun?
Your Honor.
Ako kasi position ko, meron tayong constitutional right to travel. Why are we so strict in in examining the connection or relationship of the traveler to the person to be visited?
Your Honor, we recognize po that problem. But we also have to balance that with the interests of our kababayans. Kaya po may ganyan pong programa, anti-trafficking po yan, isa pong function, Your Honor, na we have to implement. Kasi po, napansin po namin na marami po mga kababayan natin na magtatangka pong magtrabaho po sa ibang bansa. And as you might very well know, with recent developments na ang ano po ngayon, ang klase po ng mga pambibiktima po ay ibang, hindi na po yung nakasanayan po natin. They go to different countries, forced to be part of a scam, and they all with how should I put it, the intention of providing for their families. When we understand that, but we have to balance it with the fact that we have to prevent them from becoming victims. Nagiging biktima po sila pagdating po sa ibang bansa. It is unfortunately the price that we have to pay. Okay lang po na kami po ang sisihin, pero kung ang kapalit naman po nun ay isang pamilya o isang tao na hindi mabibiktima sa ibang bansa, we are willing to face that. But we of course beg for some understanding. Kailangan lamang po ang isa pong pasaherong pupunta sa ibang bansa, kung nag-i-intend po siya o may intention po siya magtrabaho, kumuha po sa DMW ng necessary certification at dalhin po yung mga papeles po. Hindi naman po masyadong mahigpit po yung o masyadong mabigat po yung mga hinihinging documents, but they really have to provide us with the proper documentation. Isa pong protection na makuha nila is, as I've stated, yung employment certificate ho, na ini-issue po ng DMW. That's one po, Your Honor. And if they cannot answer the questions, simple questions naman po, being propounded to them, they will not be able to leave the country because there is the red flag po, mga red flag po, which signify the fact that they might be going to another country, probably engaged in a job which would only victimize them, Your Honor. Yun po.
Question ko lang sa lahat kung sino lang may nakakaalam. Meron pa bang ibang bansa aside from the Philippines na bago umalis ang kanyang citizen itatanong what's the purpose of your travel? Kasi parang ganun yung ginagawa niya. Palabas ang Pilipino sasabihin mo, what is the purpose of your travel? Meron ba tayong alam na ibang bansa na may ganun tanong? But I know nga meron tayong interagency against trafficking in persons, 'di ba? Parang ganun,
Opo, Your Honor.
Task force. I know that you're part of that.
Yeah,
Pero ganun yung parang ganun yung nangyari. Usually tinatanong tayo niyan papasok eh.
Mhm.
We are a foreigner entering another country. Tanong, what's the purpose of your visit here or your travel here? Ito, lumalabas dito, palabas ang Pilipino, tatanungin, what's the purpose of your travel? Kaya kung natanong ngayon yun, from your knowledge sa mga immigration practices, wala bang obligation ng immigration naman ng destination country to ask the traveler, what's the purpose of your travel? Di siya na magbantay doon kung bawal magtrabaho ang walang work permit doon. Sila na ang mag-deny entry sa pasahero. Tayo kasi deny boarding ang nangyayari sa atin eh. Commissioner? Just educate me dahil hindi ako mahilig magbiyahe. Hindi ko alam yung
At the moment, Your Honor, admittedly, I don't know of any other country, so I don't have the facts with me.
Others,
But
hindi naman ito self-incriminating question dahil madalas kayo. Pero meron bang ganun? Meron ba from your readings, meron bang ibang bansa na tatanungin niya muna yung citizen niya?
Your
What's
Honor,
the purpose of your travel?
of course, we have to balance the interest.
I know.
At isa pong paraan po ito para ho.
Saka may law. Alam ko may law. May law tayo. May law natin ayun.
Opo, Your
Trafficking in
Honor.
persons.
And
pero,
it has been recognized by other countries, yung pong efforts natin to combat trafficking. As a matter of fact, we have maintained our Tier 1 status pagdating po sa anti-trafficking. Ano po yun? Singapore, I think, is also part of that. Mga ilang bansa po ang...
So once upon a time, you were considered as the source of trafficked persons. Ganun ba?
Once upon a time, we
Source
were...
tayo.
Mas mababa po tayo sa Tier 1, Tier 3 ho yata. Ibig sabihin po, yung mga programa po natin at that stage was not enough to combat trafficking na acceptable po dun po sa standards na sinet ng napakaraming bansa. Ngayon po, nasa taas po tayo.
Yeah, meaning to say, sa mga traffic persons, kita lang maraming Filipino citizens. Ganon yun. Siguro yun.
I think this pertains, the Tier 1 status pertains to the efforts of the government in combating traffic.
Oo nga, na-recognize na nga kayo.
Yes,
so once upon a time, we may have been in that lower tier.
Yes.
Because when they ask the traffic persons their citizenship, marami silang na-discover Filipinos. Ganun siguro. We were considered a source of traffic persons. Kaya,
as I've said, that's possible po, Your Honor. And possibly also that we have not been doing enough at that point to combat trafficking. So these efforts have been recognized globally. Efforts by the Philippine government in combating trafficking have been recognized globally.
Sige, it's always a balance din naman kasi yung isang speech ni Senator Tulfo dyan yung nagbiya ano pa sila, di ba? From Luzon to Mindanao to Malaysia and then Bangkok, then intending to go to Europe. Dun sila na-stop sa Bangkok immigration. Ito na sila na I mean, sila na mismo with their cooperation na So mahirap to assist mahirap gisingin ang taong gising o mahirap i-assist ang taong ayaw magpa-assist. Alam na nilang bawal yung ginagawa nila. But then we really have ano kaya solution nito? It's not more than just immigration yan, can we ask DFA din anong education? Would we tell the people na
Your Honor,
yes,
our
as
stand
frontliner.
One victim is too many, Your Honor. So kung makaka-prevent po kami ng mabiktima ang isa, okay lang po. But one victim is too many, Your Honor. That is our stand.
Okay, pero ayun na nga, ang counter ko doon is the constitutional right to travel. Anyway, can we get the any inputs nga doon paano ba yan? Kasi para ginagawa na rin natin yung law nila, you have to balance the power of the immigration to deny the citizens right to travel because it is concerned about the trafficking.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. DFA is also part of that interagency committee against trafficking in persons, IACAT. So from our end, the Department of Foreign Affairs, we also conduct abroad trainings on human trafficking for the OFW so that they would know what to look out for in order to avoid being victimized by human trafficking. And also, we also have at the Home Office, we also have regular trainings on human trafficking. In fact, for example, I once served in the Philippine Embassy in Brasilia. I served as Chargé d'Affaires ad interim. I even invited I don't know if you know, well, she's quite famous, former DOJ lawyer and former IACAT Executive Director Darlene Pajarito. She's now connected with the ASEAN Trafficking in Persons, an organization of the ASEAN. I invited her to speak to the Filipino community there virtually because this was during the pandemic. So we conduct activities like that in order to inform the Filipino migrant workers that there are dangers like this lurking, so they could be possibly victimized. So they would know what to do, what the red flags are, who they have to, for example, authorities abroad. Yung mga ganun po, meron po kaming mga activities na ganun. So it's more from our end, information dissemination to Filipino OFWs.
Your Honor.
I think Attorney
Yes,
Viado.
We would recognize
Immigration is a function that's performed at the port of entry.
Yeah.
So consular functions are under our purview. Thank you po.
Sige po. But we have police attachés, defense attachés, meron yata tayong trade attachés din. Tama po ba?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Trade attachés, police attachés, defense attachés, tourism attachés,
Meron din tourism
and
attachés.
labor attachés.
Labor attachés.
And social welfare.
Meron din?
Opo.
Ah.
Meron din.
Siguro yun na nga because nalilink na yung attaché post iba't ibang government functions.
Your Honor.
Yes, Commissioner.
Meron po sa Australia na immigration attachés tasked with the vetting of the visa applications po. So an immigration attaché would issue the visas while abroad, and he would undergo functions related to the vetting of the application being submitted by the person seeking or applying for the visa, Your Honor.
So yes, connected nga to the position paper read by the DFA last time. Okay, meron din, did you notice about the trust fund? Do you endorse this idea? Immigration Trust Fund.
Yes, Your Honor.
Para saan po ito? Right now, right now, do you have trust funds ngayon? Do you have an immigration trust fund?
We don't, Your Honor.
You don't. So that means you will be benefited kung meron man. Pero for what? Anong gamit natin? For what purpose kaya?
Your Honor, the Immigration Trust Fund would be sourced from the immigration fees, fines, and penalties and other income that may be collected by the Bureau. Pero 30% lang po ng fees na yon ang set aside for the Immigration Trust Fund. And the amount shall not exceed 1.2 billion per year. And it shall be used exclusively for the following purposes. 50% po for the modernization of equipment, facilities, and offices used by employees of the Bureau, including capital outlay for the establishment of new buildings and field offices. So the maximum amount would be 600 million for that. 30% will be for the payment of employee benefits provided in the Act, and as may be hereafter provided by the Board with the approval of the Secretary of Justice. So maximum amount po niyan would be 360,000, Your Honor. And 20% for the further professionalization of the employees of the Bureau, including training, seminars, and other career advancement programs, the maximum amount of which is 240 million pesos. And Your Honor, no portion of the ITF shall revert to the general fund of the national government, except when the ITF is no longer necessary for the purposes for which it was established. And that's about it, Your Honor.
So, pero we are entertaining the existence of the trust fund together with the yung policy of charging the airlines for the OT, overtime pay. So sana hindi na. Sana gano'n. Okay ba yun? Kaya siguro gawin yun. Dapat siguro wag na tayo humingi ng overtime pay from private entities we deal with.
Yes. Purely po, Your Honor, for the purposes which I just stated, purely from immigration fees po namin kukunin, Your Honor.
Hindi, yung OT, yung pinag-usapan natin, yung gano'n, yung overtime pay, magkano yun? In practice?
If I may. OT. Express lane fee po, Your Honor, is 500 pesos. 500 pesos po.
Hindi, yung gusto natin, you're going to build the airlines so that you can pay your people overtime fees. Yan eh.
But we're asking.
You don't implement that anymore, but you used to implement it, and then there's a version that it's bringing it back. So ano yung mga empirical data natin dyan? When you used to implement it, magkano po yun?
If I may confirm,
Yes,
Your Honor, yes.
Papa. Director Feliciano.
Yes, Mr. Chair, may I add something more to the our position on the deployment of immigration? So the DFA recommended the deletion of Section 31 of Senate Bill number 291 on the deployment of immigration attaches abroad. During the August 22 high-level meeting convened by PLLO, the DFA noted that foreign governments need to secure the consent of the host government in the deployment of attaches. Furthermore, the DFA has formulated a joint circular on the deployment of partner agencies abroad. Thus, it is no longer necessary to provide a provision on deployment of attaches in the bill because there are already existing mechanisms of coordination with the DFA, similar to the arrangements with sending agencies like DOT, DMW, and DTI. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. No, if you cannot, if you don't have the figure,
Your Honor, if
yes,
we will be given time to
yes, just submit
get
the
the figures and we will submit it, Your Honor.
Mag-TWG na naman tayo. Can you educate me? Who can educate me about quota visa? Inyo to? Is this immigration power or authority?
Yes, Your Honor.
Kasi may bills daw tayo, they're increasing the quota visa to from 50 to 200 per nationality. How does this work?
Your Honor, it's a quota visa is an immigrant visa which is geared towards investment po, parang investor's visa po 'yan. 50 per nationality po.
Di ba meron tayong SIRV?
That's a special investor's residence visa.
Iba yun.
Iba pa po yan.
Ibang entity nagbibigay nun.
Opo. Ano po yan sa BOI, Your Honor?
BOI.
Board of Investments. Ito, yung quota visa is a Bureau of Immigration po.
So yung visa granting authorities pala natin, tama yung report na na natatanggap ko, kalat-kalat. So how many types of visa does the Immigration Bureau issue?
Meron pong visitor's visa, merong 9G, working visa, merong missionary, may
nandun sa law, nasa CA yan no? Nasa Commonwealth Act,
nasa
no? You're
Commonwealth
authorized,
Act
no?
Basically, immigrant and non-immigrant, then there are certain classifications which we can...
Immigrant and non-immigrant. But sa non-immigrant, pa DFA na dapat yung tourist visa. Tama po ba yan? Can the DFA help me? Tourist visa, DFA.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Yes po, the DFA issues tourist visas towards foreign service posts po, sir. So, entry visa po, sir. Entry visa, sir. Tourist visa po. The 9A series po.
So isang isang area ba yan na nagpatong-patong na tayo? Over the years, nag-overlap na yung mga is the DFA issuing visas similar with the visas being issued by the immigration and any other entity? Meron na ba tayong patong-patong na visa?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So right now for example, student visas. So we issue student visas at post, but we're also issuing 9A visas, temporary visitors visas, which may be converted to student visas upon arrival. This is covered by there's a joint memorandum of agreement. A BI circular that was drafted that facilitated this conversion of visa. So you have issuance at post and then conversion to student visa here. Same with the pre-arranged employment visa. However, at some point in 2022, let me backtrack. We used to issue pre-arranged employment visas at post. But at the same time, there's also the conversion facility. So we issue 9A and then it is converted to a working visa upon arrival. Now, the issuance of working visas at post was effectively suspended in 2022 because the BI ceased to issue us or give us the endorsement. That's why right now and since 2022, we have not been able to issue 9G visas at post. So right now, it's just the 9A, which is converted to the working visa upon arrival.
Oh, but the entire system, ito may mga labels kayo, 9A, 9G, ganon.
Opo.
Who developed that system? What department developed that system?
Sir,
Is BI or DFA?
it's both
In the-
DFA and BI, Your Honor. But it's, of course, based on the Philippine Immigration Act of 1940. But in 2002, the DFA worked with the BI, with then BI Commissioner Andrea Domingo, and our DFA Office of Consular Affairs Assistant Secretary Belen Anota. We codified the laws and came up with the codified visa rules and regulations, which both the DFA and BI adhere to and respect. For example, we have categories of visas that we issue out, and these are recognized by the BI. We work in close coordination with each other. Alam po ng BI yung mga in-issue naming visas, and alam din po namin yung mga conversion. Although we don't report to each other as to the, for example, how many they have converted to student visas or working visas. They don't report to us. But we do work closely with each other on visa issuances. But as to the formulation of visa policy, it's the DFA that takes the lead.
Formulation of visa policy.
Policy.
Ano naman ang legal basis nun?
Formulation.
What law? Para lang para masilip din namin.
Opo. Sige, Mr. Chairman, I would like to first explain our legal basis for why we do what we do, no? Our visa issuing mandate. So it's based on international legal frameworks such as the 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, 1963 Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. It is also based on the National Legal Basis Administrative Code of 1987, on the Republic Act number 7157, which is the Philippine Foreign Service Act, and also on the Codified Visa Rules and Regulations of 2002, which we jointly worked on with BI. So marami po kaming legal basis on why we do the consular function, and the Philippine diplomats, for example, and consular officials are given the consular commission. It's indicated in the Vienna Convention and in the Foreign Service Act. We're in DFA, diplomats, Filipino diplomats and consular officials are given the authority to exercise their consular functions abroad, which includes issuance of visas, issuance of passports to our nationals abroad, and the authentication and notarials and every kind of consular documents, Your Honor. So yun po yung aming legal basis for why we do what we do.
So mukhang na-overtake ka na-overtake ka ng yung 84-year-old law natin, CA, ano ba yan?
613 yun.
613 o CA 613. Na-overtake ka na ng mga international law developments, parang ganun, the treaties, ganun. So how will we rationalize the visa issuing power? Iwan pa ba natin ang great power with the BID? Kasi sa 613 parang andun ang power sa kanila eh. Ang dami ng pati yung section. Yung section.
Mr. Chair,
unless Attorney Biado, ano ba to? Amended na ba to? Weekend by
It is not
subsequent
weekend,
amendments?
Your Honor.
It's not.
Not weekend.
An original, ano pa?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
We have that consular function and that visa issuing authority because, well, number one, we have the presence abroad. We have embassies and consulates abroad that can issue the visas outside the country. That is why we're doing what we're doing, apart from the legal basis which I provided earlier. And I also mentioned something about we coined it in our position paper, the two-tier national defense gatekeeping mechanism. So we're part of this defense gatekeeping mechanism. We're in, the DFA is the first layer of defense. I mentioned it earlier. We prevent undesirable aliens from coming in, meaning by the simple by our work of, strict vetting of visa applications, visa required nationals undergoing derogatory records check and interviews, we screen out the illegitimate travelers or tourists. In fact, we deny them visa issuance. And there are several mechanisms that are in place apart from denial of visa issuance, which I can share later on. But we are the first layer of defense. We're the first gatekeepers. So we keep them all outside the country. We keep them at bay. So yun pa lang, pag hindi na nakalusot, hindi na sila makakapasok. So of course, the second layer of defense and the final is the BI, because they're the ones handling admission of aliens, extension of stay, conversion of status, deportation if or when necessary. So we work in that kind of a defense gatekeeping mechanism, and it provides an effective system of checks and balances, because it would be very difficult if there's only one agency handling both visa issuance and checking of admission of aliens. There won't be any system of checks and balances. Di ho ba? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Attorney Villato.
We maintain that the Bureau of Immigration is principally responsible for the administration and enforcement of immigration, citizenship, and alien admission and registration laws. That is provided for clearly in the law. And the proposed measures retain that function of the Bureau of Immigration. Numerous provisions under the Commonwealth Act maintain with the BI the authority to issue visas. As a matter of fact, sections 10 to 12, 15 to 18, 20 to 21 provide for the BI's authority to issue and grant visas to foreign nationals. The visa issuance to the DFA was only a delegated function, Your Honor, since we don't have immigration attaches abroad. I reiterate that it is a delegated function only.
So, kailan yun? When and anong document yun?
I think that was what Director Feliciano referred to.
Yung 2000.
That we had an agreement, yes. It was only a delegated function. It was delegated to the Department of Foreign Affairs, but we did not cede any authority provided for under the law to the Department of Foreign Affairs. And we need to reiterate, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Yes, si Deputy ASEC Brian Lau, I think is raising his hand. Yeah. OMA. OMA, DFA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po to dear colleagues. Brian Lau po from the Department of Foreign Affairs, currently serving under the Office for Migration Affairs. I just wanted, sir, to shed light at sagutin agad yung question nyo kanina regarding doon sa yung paano ba nag-i-issue ng visa, sino ba nag-i-issue dapat ng visa. You were referring to something like that earlier, sir. Incidentally, sir, I served as director for visa before, several batches pa before the current director, Leilani Feliciano. Sa pagkakaintindi ko kasi, Mr. Chair, kung ang visa kasi, ang definition natin ng visa, sa Philippine context po kasi parang nagkakaparehas yung paggamit natin ng visa, tsaka doon sa sticker na binibigay ng embahada natin sa mga foreigners bago sila pumasok ng Pilipinas, tinatawag nating visa. Tapos yung ini-issue din dito sa Pilipinas ng Bureau of Immigration sa mga foreigners na naririto na sa Pilipinas, tinatawag din kasing visa. So nagkakaroon, sir, doon pa lang sa definition, I just wanted to highlight this. Doon pa lang sa definition, meron ng konting gray area. When you look at CA 613, create po siya ng 1940. Medyo may konting historical context lang po, Mr. Chair. I hope you will indulge me sometime. At that time po, ang Philippines ay under patayan ng Commonwealth ng United States. It was not until 1941 or 42. So, ang gusto ko pong i-point out, pattern po yung Commonwealth Act 613 from US immigration law, wherein the United States at that time does not allow conversion and only a United States consul can issue a visa kung paniniwalaan natin or mag-agree tayo doon sa definition na ang visa ay isang endorsement proof ng intended travel ng isang foreigner papasok ng bansa. So since the Philippines at that time was still a Commonwealth of the United States, it follows, Mr. Chair, na yung ini-implement lang po natin is exactly the same model that was being allowed sa United States at that time, wherein United States consuls and vice consuls only can issue a visa because supposed to be it's issued abroad. So that's why pag nasa territory na po ng Pilipinas or in that case in the United States, yung foreigner, hindi na siya tinatawag na mag-i-issuean siya ng visa kasi nasa territory na siya eh. So kung ano man po yung pwedeng itawag doon, may mga bansa po na tinatawag yun na stay permit or residency permit. Hindi na ho nila tinatawag yun na visa kasi under the premise nga na ang visa, kukunin mo lang yan sa abroad. Eh since wala naman pong Bureau of Immigration officer abroad and the law states that under current law po na 613, non-immigrant tsaka immigrant visas are issued by a consular officer abroad. So dun po sir, para lang po mag-shed light doon sa tinatanong nyo kanina. And from my personal perspective, Mr. Chair, nothing in the law prevents a vice consul or a consular officer from issuing any kind of visa abroad because the premise is the visa supposed to be is issued abroad. Nothing in the current law states that a consular officer of the Department of Foreign Affairs is limited only to issuing certain kinds of visas. Kasi dapat yung issuance nga po ng visa dahil nangyayari dapat siya sa abroad is the total purview of the consular officer. But in current practice, nagkaroon na lamang po ng coordination between internally po between the Department of Foreign Affairs, the DOJ on certain categories of visas over the years na lang po. Nagkaroon po ng kunwari yung mga pre-arranged employment, yung mga foreigners na gustong ipasok dito for example ng IBM, dapat mag-a-apply talaga sila sa embassies natin abroad. Ipaprocess po, tatanggapin ng embassy yung kanilang documents, i-assess po ng DOJ yon. Kung kailangan pa ng interagency coordination or background check, ginagawa po yon on the side. Tapos may inform na lang po ang ating embahada na, oy, okay na tayong mag-issue ng pre-arranged employment visa after ng vetting. May mga ganun pong category in practice. Pero under the law, it doesn't say so, sir. Yun lang po, Mr. Chair.
Feliciano.
Thank you. Thank you, Das Lau. Thank you. I would just like to add also that currently, so yes, may distinction po eh. Visas issued abroad are called entry visas because they're issued abroad. And visa is not a 100% guarantee that the person or the traveler can enter because it's still the BI's purview to decide on the admission of aliens. I also would like to, and that was correct, through the years, that's why there was a codification of the laws, which were enshrined in the codified visa rules and regulations because there has been an evolution of the procedures on how the visas are issued abroad. And then also we have to acknowledge right now that there are visas issued inside the Philippines. For example, yung mga visas po na ibang ini-issue ng BI and also investment promotion agencies such as the economic zones. Yung Subic Economic Zone, APECO, PESA, CESA, etc. They also issue visas to investors, but these are issued upon arrival. So there are specific category of visas, majority of which immigrant, non-immigrant visas, and even refugee visas that are issued by us, by consular officials abroad, by the DFA through our 94 posts abroad. And there are also some visas that are issued here by BI and investment promotion agencies such as yung mga CESA, PESA, and also by the PRA, Philippine Retirement Authority. They issue the Special Retirees Retirement Visa. and the DTI BOI, which issues the Special Investment Retirement Visa, but still somehow in coordination also with DFA. But some of these are already issued once they arrive here. Yan lang po.
Is that entire visa system na confusing sa akin, maybe not to you, do we need to touch that when we overhaul the Immigration Act? Is that the place to touch it, to rationalize it, or hayaan na natin yung inyong mga de facto or contingent agreements? Yes, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So our official position on this is to maintain the status quo, meaning just let us do what we're doing right now, which are, and I would like to state on record, to process and issue the following non-immigrant, immigrant, and immigrant visas. For example, temporary visitors visas, we have subcategories under it. Transit visa, the 9B. Seaman's or crew list visa, 9C. International treaty traders visa, 9D, which is very rare. Foreign government officials or diplomatic visa, 9E. Student visa, 9F. Pre-arranged employment visa, 9G, which I said earlier was suspended already. The quota immigrant visas, the non-quota immigrant visas or the 13 series, the special non-immigrant visas or the 47A2, which we process with the DOJ, the refugee visas, 47B, which is, again, we process together with the DOJ, and the APEC Business Travel Card, which is a special kind of a visa. It's not really a visa, but it's a way for businessmen to be able to travel the APEC economies in lieu of a visa. So it's an APEC Business Travel Card. So that's what we're advocating for. Just allow us to continue to do what we have been doing exceptionally and outstandingly for since time immemorial. And of course, we support BI's and desire to modernize and to keep up with the changing times, because it's evolving, the technologies, and so we fully support that. We're just out for our consular mandate, our visa issuing authority, to stay with the DFA within our purview. Thank you.
Did you notice any bill which will now affect yung functions that you mentioned? Meron ba?
Yes, sir.
Meron?
Mr. Chair, we studied all the Senate versions. Okay. Senate Bill numbers 410, 1085, 1185, and House Bill 8203 will take away from the department our visa issuing authority and will just leave us with a diplomatic visa. Yun na lang po ang iiwan sa amin. Kukunin na po ng BI lahat. That's why we're...
Thank you for pointing that out. At least not less than 4 bills yun.
4 bills.
For contain that idea.
Yes,
contain
sir.
That idea.
And Mr. Chair, so we expressed our preference for Senate Bill number 291 of Senate President Francis Escudero. However, subject to the incorporation of major revisions, because the Senate Bill 291 preserves and protects our consular mandate, the visa issuing authority. However, we are confined only to the issuance of non-immigrant visas. Yung 291 po, ibinibigay yung immigrant visas at refugee visas sa BI. That's why it still has the deployment of immigration attachés in there. So we want all of the immigrant, non-immigrant visas and refugee visas to continue within our purview, and to remove the deployment of immigration attachés, because we've been doing this function already, again, outstandingly. Thank you.
So yun, parang if the nature of the visa requires it to be granted abroad, iwan na sa inyo. Ayan, no need to deploy people from a certain agency so that it can be granted abroad. Tama, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, more or less, parang yan na nakuha kong main argument. Kaya konektado yung dalawa.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
okay.
May I also
Sige po. Sige.
okay, mention the visa functioning abroad as presently performed by career consular officers and staff at the DFA OCA and all foreign service posts abroad since time immemorial has been done, as I've mentioned, exceptionally. The deployment of attaches from another agency would result in a duplication of functions already being competently performed by existing qualified and experienced personnel who are also proficient in other fields of consular services. The immigration attaches from BI would have to get their vital training from the very same set of DFA personnel whom they intend to replace. This would run contrary to the ongoing policy of streamlining offices to optimize organizational structures and reduce unnecessary spending consequent to a bloated civil service. A more cost-effective approach to bringing BI services closer to its clientele abroad would be to delegate the issuance of the certain categories of visas that I've mentioned, such as long-term visas, immigration visas, non-immigrant visas, to our foreign service posts and to DFA. Thank you.
Thank you. Siguro si Commissioner Biado, yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you to Director Feliciano for reaffirming the DFA support for the Immigration Act or proposed Immigration Act, Your Honor. We appreciate that, Your Honor, and I firmly believe that we are all after national interest, and it is to the best interest of our country that this bill be passed into law to conform to the needs of the times, Your Honor. And prior to the start of this meeting, I took it upon myself with apologies to Your Honor to talk to the other representatives of the different government agencies to request from them, of course, with the indulgence and approval of the Honorable Chairman, for us to be provided with copies of their respective position papers, and of course for us to be given the time to respond accordingly. And with the Honorable Chairman's indulgence, that afterwards, after all the position papers have been filed, that a technical working group be constituted for us to thoroughly discuss all these matters. Because I think, and I believe, that we are all after the same result, that the Bureau of Immigration be provided with the tools to necessarily answer the needs of the times. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
So I was under no illusion naman that we will be able to discuss all of the issues concerning the BID this afternoon. So I will request for position papers. Lagyan natin ng deadline na lang siguro. Anyway, magti-TWG pa rin naman tayo. You can still express some ideas there. So siguro, our deadline is the end of this week. Kaya na siguro natin yan. Ano na ba araw ngayon? Hindi ko na alam anong araw na. So, masyadong siguro next week kahit baka 1 week from now, Wednesday of next week. Sige, and then with your permission, if there's no objection, we will furnish the acting OIC of the BID copies of all the position papers on this topic para madaanan din nila. Yes.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. After receipt of all the position papers from all other agencies, may we be given at least 1 week, Your Honor, to submit our consolidated position paper, Your Honor.
Sige. 1 week, yes. And then mag-TWG na tayo. Sige. Pero napansin lang talaga natin na, of course, being an 84-year-old law, I mean, ang bilis nung advancement not only of international law but also of technology nung 84 years na yun eh. So definitely na maraming concepts dito na pag-iwanan na. So we really have to update this law. Pati kami nahirapan actually. Ilang beses na ba ito na-amend? As far as you know, Attorney Biado. Hindi namin makip track eh. Kung ilan ang we have to...
Amendment, Your Honor.
Hindi, I mean, the CA ba, the Commonwealth, how many, no, not the attempts to amend, to update, to modernize it, but how many laws have touched this law?
Your Honor,
In the 84 years of its existence,
I've encountered
dapat matrack din natin yun eh.
I've encountered about 2 or 3 po. So
2 or
the
3 major,
84
siguro major, the big one.
84-year existence, Your Honor. If I may, Your Honor,
Sige.
present here with me are attorneys Siton and Madera. They were actually present when the bills pertaining to the Immigration Act of 1940 were being discussed. Even they started during the time of Commissioner Rodriguez, Your Honor. So ganun katagal na po ang
So help us na lang sa TWG kasi kayong ano.
they will be able to help us, Your Honor.
Sige, kasi ang mission na lang nitong aking committee is we need to pass the easier bills, and this is the bill na the difficult one. Nagpili lang kami ng isang major law na medyo earth-shaking na try natin with the short time given to us to pass, and this is the Immigration Act. The two relatively easier ones would be your bill, the State Council. Ayusin na natin yun because time is running out. And then siguro yung isa, yung Board of Claims na yung sa unjustly detained. Kasi yun din ang clamor na marami ring interesado, senators doon. It's too unfair and unjust na yung amounts doon. So with that, so any other input? Yes, Deputy ASEC Lau.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. If I may just add, sir, kung maaari sa discussion siguro nung mabubuong technical working group. From the Office of Migration Affairs, kasi sir, I was just sent by Yusek De Vega to be an observer for this afternoon's deliberations. I-point out lang namin din, sir, sana yung concern, sir, ng mga overseas Filipinos kasi sa Migration Office. Sana doon sa mabubuong technical working group, yung ma-address, sir, yung mga complaints po or request ng mga overseas Filipinos na ma-blacklist daw. Apologies to the BI, siguro umuulan ng paperwork galing sa office namin, request for blacklist. Yung mga yung mga nangbubugbog daw, yung mga physical abuse or may mga foreigners po na gumagawa ng masama sa Pilipino, dumudulog sila sa embahada natin tapos nagre-request sila na kung sana daw ay either hindi ma-issuehan ng visa kung mag-a-apply sa embahada, and of course DFA takes care of that. We have our own lookout list for foreigners. Pero yung mga nandito na daw po sa Pilipinas na gumagawa po ng undesirable nga, nananakit sa mga Pilipino, kung maaari daw pong ma-blacklist din po ng BI. So yun lang, sir, from the Office of Migration Affairs, kung sana dun sa bagong batas or sa implementing rules niya ay magkaroon ng provision or magkaroon ng avenue na ma-address lang din na, of course, I understand, sir, hindi naman lahat ng reklamo ng Pilipino against foreigners ay magiging valid grounds for blacklisting. Yun lamang po, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
If I may request from ASEC Lau, a list, the names of those people na naging biktima po ng mga foreigners po, so that we can institute the proper proceedings against them. Rest assured that we will act on it accordingly. Hindi po kailangan ng panibagong batas para ma-actionan po namin yan agad. So if you can give us a list, the names of those people, their respective birth dates, so that we can institute and commence the proper proceedings against these people, Your Honor.
Commissioner, ito. Ang napapansin namin dito, ginagawa ng playground ng Pilipinas ng mga aliens, undesirable aliens to. Aliens who cannot possibly hold or possess firearms or guns in their home countries. Pag nasa Pilipinas, tuwan-tuwa sila Oh. Yung iba, okay, legitimate, pumunta sa shooting ranges natin, nag-enjoy. Pero yung iba, may, unlicensed possession and unlicensed carrying of weapons and then actually shooting or using the weapons. Yung mga ganyan, since involved ang foreigners, although law enforcement yun for the criminal act, pero yung the person is your jurisdiction, di ba? Is your subject matter, the foreigner. So ano naman anong role ninyo magawa so that mapakita naman natin sa kanila that the Philippines is not that kind of a playground.
Yes,
Ginagawa tayong playground ng crime
Yes po, Your Honor. Ano po yun, Nor? I agree po sa sinabi po ninyo that we have to address this. Ang jurisdiction po namin pertains to the violation of immigration laws like undesirability. Yan pong, ano po yan, pag-uugali pong yan is undesirable as far as we are concerned. What we usually do is, prior to any case build-up, nakikipag-coordinate po kami sa police authorities para ho makuha po yung necessary information concerning this person. At pag nakuha po namin yung impormasyon na yun, inumpisahan na ho namin yung kailangan pong gawin. But we need and we have been coordinating also with the police authorities. So we've been very cooperative in providing us with the information. Marami na rin po mga incidents na ganyan na address po namin. But
yan yung ending deportation, di ba? Yan yun. Kunyari lang, let's say walang criminal case kasi ang general rule natin, kung may criminal case, you have to be tried,
Yes po,
and then if you are to be punished, serve your punishment
Yes,
before deportation.
That's
Pero kaya ako tinanong kanina nga, yung deportation, sabi mo 60 to 90 days. Siguro dapat without need of a new law, if you can streamline your processes pa, make it shorter pa na without denial of due process rights naman dun sa subject foreigner.
We will address that.
Pero naging alarming na, kaya nga that's why na-focus lang natin sa Pogo, pero meron pa rin siguradong diyan merong ginagawang playground ng Pilipinas for their crime na let's say hindi Pogo related eh.
Opo.
Yan, siguro there's something wrong with the image. Akala nila wild west pa rito eh. I mean, they can do whatever they want to do. So this is where the Immigration Bureau comes in to tell them na hindi po, this is a civilized nation. We have the rule of law dito. Pero baka nga kulang kayo sa tao, but siguro best use yun na lang of your people. Kaya
we will, Your Honor. Aside from yung pong sinabi po namin na deportation, included sila sa blacklist, so hindi na humakabalik.
Ayun, meron ng ganun, di ba?
Blacklisting,
meron ng blacklisting na.
At in the event na meron nung pending criminal proceedings, that takes precedence.
Yes.
Kaya suspended
and the service of the penalty.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Sige, so wag tayo mag-end sa medyo negative news. So I'll give you the chance, Commissioner. Pwede ka bang magmayabang? Ano ang mga latest na pwede mong ipagmayabang sa akin, sa committee ko at sa mga audience natin? Ano mga achievements po ninyo na pwede nating na mapapalundag tayo, mapapalakpak po tayo sa Bureau of Immigration? Sige, that's how we will end this hearing this afternoon. Ayusin mo muna thoughts mo. Gandaan mo. Mention at least 3 to 5 kung meron. Sige, let's go.
Sinabi ko po kanina, Your Honor, yung pong gearing towards artificial intelligence. Umpisa na po yan, yung mga e-gates po na nakikita niyo po sa yung pong yung meron po kami, yung arrival po. Meron pong
arrival e-gates.
Arrival e-gates.
Sige, saan nga? Mention them. Saan? Saan yan?
Sa airports po natin. Sa
ayan. So Filipino citizens gamit yan. Okay, gamit sige, good. Ano pa?
That's one, Your Honor. May ongoing po na proyekto pagdating sa e-travel. Yung e-gates. So tuloy lang po na na pagpapalawig po at pagpapalaki ng coverage po ng e-gates po ng ating airport operations.
Sa outbound e-gates na rin?
Wala pa po.
Wala. Inbound. Papasok. Sige po. Ano pa?
At tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung aming pong deployment ng mga immigration officers all over the Philippines. So at the moment, yung pong aming, nabanggit ko po, 13 airports and 65 offices all over the Philippines, we are manning that even with the limited na tao po namin. Meron pa pong
now, mas mabilis na ngayon, shorter lines, mas mabilis ang processing kasi pagod na yung nakalinya doon, mga pagod lahat yun eh.
Practically 24/7 po, Your Honor, ang
Hindi, yung ating mga mga passengers po natin, yung mga shorter na po ang lines.
Ang lines po shorter. Gaya po na nabanggit ko kanina, because of the constant training na binibigay po namin sa aming mga tao. Yung 45 seconds, so we have been complying with that for them to process all the papeles po ng mga taong papasok at lalabas. Pero na-shorten na ho yun. About
And
20,
all your
25.
booths are manned. Kasi sometimes, yun na reklamo, may you have 5 or 6 booths there,
Opo.
2 lang ang tao, 3 lang tao. Basta, ngayon, marami, puno, ganon.
Mas marami po. But
Parate,
we aim
sige.
to have more immigration counters. Gaya po na nabanggit ko po kanina, nagiging funnel po yung processing ng ating mga papeles. So we want to have more immigration counters to address the deluge of passengers po na currently meron pong mga pumapasok at lumalabas sa ating mga airports. Lately po, Your Honor, we have also been cooperating with the other government agencies in affecting the arrest of certain people po na nakikita niyo po sa news. Yung pong recent na na pagka-aresto po sa isang high profile na subject who was a subject of an investigation proceedings yesterday.
Yung ba sa
amin po unang nag-umpisa
Indonesia? Yun?
Hindi
Iba
po,
pa?
yung pong pagkaka-aresto po a few days ago.
A few days ago?
Yung dito po, yung sa ni
si
Yang
ano?
po.
Si
Mr. Yang po.
Yang, yeah, dito yon naharang ni kayo yon.
Okay. Yung interagency po yon, Your Honor.
Yes,
But,
okay.
what
you had a role.
what prompted this, what prompted the arrest was the issuance of a mission order which came from our office.
From there. Okay.
Based on information that we got from other concerned government agencies. And even prior to that, yung pong pagka-arrest po kay yung Shilago po. Rin po yan, mission order po na galing po sa Bureau of Immigration.
And arrested abroad. Tama? In Indonesia. So that means ginamit din yung network ninyo.
May mga pinapunta po dun.
And you coordinated with the immigration
Yes,
of Indonesia.
May mga back-channeling efforts din po sa ganyan, Your Honor. Because of the nature of the proceedings, we cannot just disclose. But we have been doing back-channeling efforts to coordinate with other agencies, counterparts po namin sa abroad, to, of course, effect the arrest.
Yung arrest of Yang ba yun? Yang ba? Yang ba yung latest? Yung arrest ni Yang, was that low-tech arrest or because of you were na-detection ng mga computer systems ninyo?
Interagency po. Pero I have to say that
was it low-tech? I mean, low-tech. Site. Nakita siya. Good old-fashioned.
Good old-fashioned sleuthing po, Your Honor.
Okay. The good old-fashioned detective work. Okay.
Opo. Kasi po,
sige. Good.
May information na po natanggap noong August 30, Your Honor. And then, nag-umpisa na po doon yung case build-up. And as I've stated, meron pong interagency cooperation po dyan. So, we had to coordinate with the other concerned agencies para po ma-effect po yung arrest, Your Honor.
Sige, you mentioned 4. You mentioned 4. Hindi mo kayang 5.
I have to...
5. Fifth, last.
Yeah, we have to mention, Your Honor, these matters, have been done even with the limited resources po namin, Your Honor.
Lahat naman ng gobyerno.
Limited.
Limited. So at least meron tayong 4 na good news. Ano pa? Panlima ka o wala?
Like I mentioned po kanina, Your Honor, pagdating po sa anti-trafficking efforts, na-maintain po namin yung Tier 1.
Tier 1.
Tier 1 po.
Tier 1. Okay.
Tier 1.
At saka nag-lessen na ata ngayon yung to your credit, nag-lessen na ang reklamo na they're missing their flights. Wala na. Nag-lessen na yata. So ibig sabihin, nag-adjust siguro kayo. Sige.
Your Honor, I have to credit should be given to our immigration officers pagdating po sa ganun and other government agencies kasi katulad po ng DMW, Your Honor. Kasi po may coordination na pong malawakan, strengthening po ng cooperation po na we have with the department para humalaman namin yung mga proper paperwork po, ganyan ho. And sa matter of fact, kahit naman ho initially hindi ho pinaalis, kung eventually pagka makapagpresenta po ng tamang papeles, nakakaalis naman po. Hindi naman po lahat yung totally banned na ho yung tao. Meron naman hong paraan para rin ho, if they are able to present the proper documentation, then eventually they will be allowed to go out of the country and work.
Yeah, pero
Yes,
yung, yung financial damage kasi, may mga financial implication, baka hindi nyo
Yes po,
nakikita,
Your Honor.
rebooking, something fees.
Opo. Meron pong
But at
pending.
any rate, ito, for the record, for my personal, parang kumonti na yung reklamo na ganun, of that nature. So maybe you also adjusted, your people also adjusted. Okay.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Ano proper? Oh, sige, we will give the OIC Commissioner the last word now. Okay na, tapos na yun. So he gave us the not less than 5 good reasons for us to appreciate, commend, and value our Bureau of Immigration and Deportation. So that's the reason why we are really concentrating or focusing our energies and whatever anong competence natin dito. We will have to answer the call of the times to modernize the Bureau of Immigration. Sige, but you help us kasi parang medyo one of the more complicated than to areas of law. Itong immigration law. So help us through the TWG. So, Committee Secretary, we will just inform them sa schedule ng TWG. Sige. So, reminder na lang ulit, those interested in submitting position papers, you have 1 week. And then BID will give you copies another week. Tapos mag-TWG na po tayo. So in the meantime, let's make good use of the 2 weeks by preparing ourselves with the subject matter, with the complex, quite complex subject matter. Okay, so anybody else? Wala na. So the chair thanks all of you for your
Thank you
time.
very much, Your Honor.
Salamat po. So our hearing is hereby adjourned.